All right, you've got some great material here that you can use, and so I'm very happy to share this with you. This is from a fellow colleague that has allowed us to use this freely in our courses, Alan Maxwell. And your BABOK summary is taking everything that you need to know in your BABOK guide, and he's put it into a very cohesive plan. And this particular plan is focusing on the key things that you need to learn for your CBA and your CCBA exams. So we'll start at the top. Here you're looking at your knowledge area, which is chapter 2, and that's the contextual area of what does it mean from a business analysis point of view. So we will talk about your BACM, which is around the changes, the value, the solutions, the needs, the stakeholders, and the context. And remember, that's all in your training. We'll also look at the other terms in terms of what is a requirement, what is a risk, what is an enterprise, and what are the key perspectives that are discussed in chapter 11 of your BABOK guide. And on the right, he's got a flow diagram to show you how those different components would work when you are doing requirements for a solution. So that is something Alan himself has designed, and that is quite helpful if you're looking at it in terms of what you would do in your business and how you would manage your projects. Next, we're going to look at the knowledge areas, and the knowledge areas you will from 3 to 8, as you know, are the primary areas to learn in your BABOK guide. And then you've got a task at the heading. So you'll see plan, business analysis approach is your task. And underneath that, we have what we call the elements. You will notice that there is an N, which means that there's a note that's been taken. And the note is referenced on your right-hand side, which gives you a description of that particular area. Now that's been highlighted because it's an important area to learn. And remember, we're doing this kind of to prepare us for our exam. So we want to make sure that we get that. So when you go on the course, the key thing here is to go back to this, make sure that you have a copy and that you can go, all right, that's the key thing. I better remember those particular areas. You'll also notice that he's highlighted any acronyms, just so that if you don't know RACI or you don't know Moscow or you don't know any of the other ones, you can actually, he's just highlighted that there is an acronym for that is referred to in your BizBoK guide. So under stakeholders, so every task in your BABOK has got a list of stakeholders that are using that particular task or involved in that particular task, and you'll see he's highlighted that there. There's also looking at what is coming in terms of your guidelines and tools, or your inputs and your outputs. So when you look at those input and outputs, then that is a key component, just to remember what is coming into those particular areas. And there's a reference there that also shows you which chapter that you're looking at, where that could be an input, or it is created at that particular point. And then tasks. Now we do have that spreadsheet which goes into a bit more detail than this around the tasks, but you can see here he's highlighted the abbreviations that he uses here, and if you go down, you'll see all the tasks that are being referred to in that particular chapter. So it's the whole chapter, so everything in red is then all the tasks that are being used in that chapter. You can use the spreadsheet that we have as well in our library, which goes into the detailed description of all of those chapters. And the reason why that's important is because when you write your exam, there are questions around particular descriptions, so you do need to know that level of detail. Not for everything, but just around the descriptions. So as you can see, in each of these areas, it then goes into the next chapter with a different color code. And for those who need to remember the words, this is where it's really helpful to know, okay, well, all the purple and all of the yellow, what particular chapter are you working with? So you can start associating the words and the colors together. So after you've gone through the 8 knowledge areas, you have the underlying competencies, which are very, very simple. And these are the areas that you would focus on in terms of understanding the underlying competencies. In your exams, you are asked questions around those competencies. So for instance, there are scenario-based questions saying, if a BA was doing this, what would the outcome be? So you need to understand what is considered a BA competency. And then, as I mentioned, here's the full list of the techniques, but you can still go and look at the detail level in the spreadsheet that is provided. So very, very helpful, and thank you, Alan, for doing this. I strongly advise that you have a look at this and that you use this as a precursor to going through the course, which will take you into a much more detailed level of all of these components. When starting the course, you're not expected to understand all of this. You are just looking at what are the key areas and what are the key things that I need to remember. Because remember, in the course, we're going to explain what all of these components are. So you'll understand them and you'll get a scenario that will help you understand those key components. But when you write an exam, you need to memorize some of these things. So this is why the two working together is so incredibly helpful. So that is it from our side. And if you have any questions, please use the discussion to do that and let us know what else you'd like to learn.